If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So an older email I got that I didn't read to you guys because I had not watched Downtown Abbey, the show. I have started watching it. I'm on season 3, catching up. But the email had a question about some of the medical treatments and the medical issues that were brought up in the series. And I now understand what they're talking about. There's some pretty interesting. I am fascinated with the 1910 and now 1920 medical treatments and analysis and interpretation and things like that they did back in the early 1920s in the UK. But Liz wrote years ago, "We make mountains out of molehills. People have been surviving illnesses for years, but modern day medicine makes us more reliant on medications when they could be actually making us worse." And so she goes on to talk about how people obviously survived Spanish flu. They survived erysipelas or a bacterial infection of the skin. Although, sorry, no spoiler. I don't, if you guys haven't seen it, I don't think I'm really spoiling it for you. It's an old show, but it didn't look like erysipelas to me. It looked like a contact dermatitis on somebody's hand in the show, more like poison ivy. So I didn't think it was erysipelas. And then later in the show, they were like, this wasn't erysipelas, which is a bacterial infection of the skin. But a very common thing that's been asked is, we act like we're the only people surviving. Here we are in 2025, the only people able to survive medical illness, whereas people have been obviously surviving for decades. Are we doing too much? Are we really improving and decreasing our mortality rates, our morbidity and mortality rates? So I am of the mindset that absolutely yes, we have been able to do amazing in terms of minimizing morbidity and mortality. Morbidity is medical issues, and disease, and mortality is death. People dying in childbirth, we've minimized that. Babies born too early, we've been able to save them. 40-year-old men dropping of heart attacks are now now more of a rarity. Although heart disease is still the number one killer, but at least they're getting through their 40s. They may not make it like my father through their 60s, but we have been able to absolutely increase people's health and longevity and life expectancy, which is why we have the population we have today. But that does not mean we forego and disregard how people were cured in the olden days. One thing Downtown Abbey had covered was the Spanish flu. And, it's a really good show. I'm only on season 3. I was afraid. I guess the reason why I didn't see it is I didn't have time years ago. And I thought it would be more girly. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend people, but I kind of like, I like more action and, and comedy and that kind of, but they did good, because they go into World War I and things like that. But it's very good. Great character development. Maggie Smith, I'm a huge fan of. So it's good. But with the Spanish flu, one person was, I'm not going to say who, was really struggling. And the doctor said if they make it through the night, then they are going to survive this. And I know because I remember people reaching out, and I wasn't watching the show when it came out. You know, how did he know that? Meanwhile, somebody else who looked great succumbs to Spanish flu and dies pretty quickly. Well, my guess is in the show, it had to do with their lungs. And if somebody had, just like with COVID, and we saw this with COVID, if somebody had the cytokine storm and their lungs filled up with fluid, they did worse than those who were just struggling with the body aches and all the other symptoms. So if something decides to take hold and destroy an organ, you're more likely to die than something that decides to be more diverse and affect multiple body systems less severely. Now, it could also be that they knew back then that your body was going to be making antibodies. So while somebody was writhing in the body aches and the fever of the flu, if they made it to a certain day and they weren't respiratorily compromised, they knew that those antibodies were going to kick in and that they were going to fight any extra viral load that the virus was going to try to, because how a virus works, like the Spanish flu, is it comes in, takes over a cell, makes that cell produce more virus, lyse the cell, break it apart, and all the little baby viruses now go out there and find new cells. But there's a stopping point. It won't take over all the cells because your body's immune system kicks in, or the cells just can't take it anymore. And so the thinking behind that is if somebody was able to survive, what doesn't kill them makes them stronger. They were able to make the antibody response, or the virus weakens, or the virus dies out. The reason why you have a fever and you spike a high fever is that that's your body's way of trying to deter that virus from working. Now, I know everybody tries to lower the fever so you don't get a febrile seizure, which is something we support. But in the olden days, oftentimes they still worked with that fever to help fight off the infection. Fevers can make you dehydrated, and fevers can make you seize if they go up too quickly. But sometimes sweating it out and letting your body fight it, for some people, was the best thing to do at the time. Now we have antivirals and we have other things, thank the Lord. But, we go back and forth in medicine going, what can we learn from in the 1920s or the 1820s or the 1720s or in biblical times? What could we learn from? And I think there are a lot of things, a lot of complementary medicine, herbs, plants that people use to help stimulate their immune system to fight disease. But we do live longer and better as a result of current technology and pharmacology. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on X or Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So some individuals struggle with this issue where they have a child who is crushing on a cousin, where their kid is attracted to somebody that they probably should never, ever be with. First cousin marriages are a lot more common outside the United States. I think 10% of marriages outside of the United States are between first and second cousins. In America, it's only 0.2% of marriages, but apparently there's a lot of states that still allow that. But I think it's a bad thing. I don't think children should fall for their cousins, and I think that there should be a very delicate intervention of that. We'll talk about which states where you can marry your first cousin in, but whether it's legal or not, I mean, if you, let's say you're married to your first cousin and you move states, it could be illegal in that state. So there's different jurisdictions, and we'll review those laws. But the question at hand is we have a listener whose child appears to have a crush on a cousin. Well, the first thing as a doctor I ask, and this isn't that uncommon, believe it or not, is how old is the child? So when I was 3 years old, so I don't have a lot of cousins. I only have one first cousin. That's it. Because my mom, her brother died when she was a kid and he was a kid. So my mom has no brothers or sisters. And my father only had one sister. And she only had one child, so I only have one cousin who's amazing. She's a great girl, love her. I love my cousin. But when I was a little girl, I just loved kissing men. I just loved men. I would just go up to strange men. I wanted to hold their hand. I wanted to. My mom had a heart attack. I was 3. Now, being a 3-year-old, maybe it's because I loved my father, and so I had this thing, and maybe it's because I fought with my mom, and so maybe I felt myself gravitate more towards men. I don't know, but I just loved men. I'd watch Mary Tyler Moore and have a crush on the Captain Stubing guy, Gavin McLeod, or whatever. Or I think I had a crush on Ricardo Montalban. I really liked Latino men at the time, too. But I was like 3. I was really young. And so the first question I have is, are they young? Because you will see a lot of kids when they're really, really young, not necessarily think that that's a love. It's just they hug, they kiss, they cuddle like they would a teddy bear. If they are 7, 8, 9, that's one thing. That's one conversation. If they are teenagers, that's a different conversation. So how this happens, people are like, how the hell can somebody be attracted to their kin, to a cousin? Well, if it's a situation, you have to also understand what the psyche is. If you have a child that doesn't have a lot of friends, is bullied a lot in school, and now there's somebody in the family that is nice to them because they have to be. You have to be nice to your cousins. You get a whooping if you weren't nice to your cousins. That's just the way it was. And it's somebody that will play with you, that will be nice to you. Some of these kids may not be very confused with their feelings and have a bond or an attraction to them. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a sexual attraction. It's just they want to be around somebody that doesn't bully them, that makes them feel good, that plays with them, that makes them laugh. And so you need to identify if your child is lonely. Because if your child is lonely, they are going to gravitate to whoever is giving them attention. It doesn't mean they're going to end up marrying them if they're 7 years old or 8 years old or 9 year old, but you need to figure out the identifying reason why, they aren't being repelled in that way or becoming more and more close. That you could have like the coolest cousins going, yay, cousin, Joe is coming over. Can't wait to party. I love cousin Joe. That's good. We want people to be close with their cousins. But if you start to notice that they're in love with them or they want to marry them, you need to kind of look at why is that? If it's the only boy giving that girl attention, you need to talk to them about how these are family. You are not going to be marrying your family. You have to be actually pretty upfront about it. You don't want to embarrass them. But this is not something where you try to find euphemisms and this has to end as quickly as possible because we don't want feelings to grow. And we don't want awkwardness. And then we also don't want the cousin going, well, I can't go over there now. This is, this is going to be a Netflix movie, in a few years. So you do have to be honest and straight up with them. If they're a teenager, even more honesty. And there are some individuals out there where they want to be with there's even sister brother incestual relationships. That I can't explain because we do have the genetic kind of block firewall to go, ooh, gross, no, not happening. But, for some people, they might not have that and accidentally they end up going the wrong direction with that. But if you do have a child, you do have to be honest and say this is not a relationship that can happen. All right. In nature, they don't want that to happen. There could be issues with, your kids. There could be, there's issues with laws. Well, I read up and my state says that they allow it. They go, look, you could be hurt. Okay. This is something that is not going to be a long-term solution. People have crushes. They have crushes all the time. Crushes are fleeting, but your job is to explain to them that if you do have somebody who's nice to you, that because not, the issue is it's not so much that they're falling for their cousin, is that they have that low threshold to bond and want to unite with somebody that's being kind. Well, now they could become a victim of trafficking. They could become, anybody could snow them. So you need to teach them about, it's a good teaching point of how, you have to discern things. When you find a person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, there's going to, there's a checklist that has to be done. Is this somebody that, is not going to take advantage of you? Is this somebody that's not going to hurt you? Is this not somebody that's going to make you go to jail because, the state doesn't allow it? So I always recommend honesty. If you don't think you can have the conversation, have your doctor have the conversation with them or a counselor. Now, which states are allowing cousin marriage? Apparently, there are no restrictions, we're being told, in California, Colorado, New York, Florida. In Arizona, Illinois, Indiana, Maine, Minnesota, Tennessee, Utah, Wisconsin, there are options and some allowances for first cousin marriage. I have like a breakdown here. Hold on. Let me actually pull this up. Wikipedia actually has a big long table of this. And I think in Nevada, it is absolutely banned. Let me just double check that. Yeah, in Nevada, it says you cannot marry your first cousin. Is the first cousin marriage criminalized, though? It's one thing to ban it, but can you go to jail for marrying your first cousin? Apparently, according to Wikipedia, in Nevada, yes, you can go to jail. Are sexual relations or cohabitation allowed? Are first cousin marriages void? Are out-of-state marriages by residents void? Is a first cousin once removed marriage allowed? Is a half cousin marriage allowed? Apparently, in a lot of states, you could marry your half cousin, but you cannot marry your half cousin in Kentucky or Louisiana. So this is a very, very interesting table. There's a lot to it, but you can apparently marry your first cousin in Alabama, Alaska, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia, American Samoa, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So it's fascinating to see the rules. And some of the rules, you have to be a certain age. But medically speaking, we don't recommend it. A first cousin does not have as much diversity of the gene pool. And the reason why we don't want people to marry within their family is because if there are gene issues, you don't weed them out. When you marry somebody different, of a different family, of a different gene pool, then you have your autosomal dominant, your autosomal recessive. You have more of an opportunity to not make progeny that could have disease or issues. So hope that helped. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Sweet strawberry icing. You were strolling along in Goodwill when just past that mid-century side table and denim jacket you spotted them, nestled in their display case. Miniature donut earrings. Oh, yes! Yes! Your favorite half-breakfast pastry, half-all-day dessert food, made into your favorite form of ear candy. Oh my. Those bejeweled sprinkles have satisfied some unknown hunger within you. Shh, do you smell that? That's the sugary scent of shopping success. For this is Goodwill. And with every item you buy, you fund local job training and more. So go forth. Bring home those donut earrings. And bring home so much good to your community. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I don't know about you all, but I grew up in a family that always had to escape persecution, flee Russia, flee Germany, flee Austria. They were always fleeing. And so our family was always poor. We ended up, once my father was able to come to America and become a citizen, we still struggled financially, but we had a couple good years. And, but for the most part, my father was a gambler, didn't really make a lot of money fixing appliances. And, he fed us, but we never really had money. But I was told when I was younger that I was going to have to be the one to support the family because my parents had to support their parents had to support their parents, and that's just the way it's going to be. And I was the first person in my family to graduate college, and it was just a duty that I thought I had. And then I started to notice that it was starting to become a little overwhelming, where demands were starting to get a little too much, especially when I wasn't necessarily raking it in. I was making about $1.10 an hour as a resident. Once I got out of medical school, I was, I had my babies. I was trying to pay off student loans, trying to build a practice. And so, yes, I might have, made it through medical school. I might have become a doctor, but I was not loaded by any means. But I still helped, and I still did what I could. But, one of the headlines you see here, one of the headlines today, well, you always see headlines about Meghan Markle and her not getting along with her dad. And here is Meghan Markle getting to marry a prince and, be rich and do her Netflix shows, which from what I hear stink. I could barely watch the first one. Or with Macaulay Culkin and Kieran Culkin, there's a headline saying that their mom, Patricia Bentrup, is living strapped for cash, needing help, lives near junkyards, rarely sees her sons. And so you see these headlines where wealthy people or stars are not there to help their family. And of course the stars look like crap, and then they look like they're pieces of work, and I understand both sides. For me, and I've had family members that have really tried to hurt me in my life. I still feel like I have a duty. And so for me, I will still help and do what I need to. But one thing we don't really talk about a lot on the show is, one, how to ask for help if you need help, but that's not easy. And two, what to do if people are taking advantage of you. And to ask for help, it's not easy. Not easy to ask for help at all, because you feel embarrassed. You feel like you are letting somebody in to your privacy, to your what you're struggling with, and you're making something private more public. You're thinking that now they have an in or something over you. It's not easy at all. So if you do, it all depends on the type of help you need. I mean, if you get yourself into a mess, at the bookie or you're going to have to do what you can to survive. Who cares about the privacy? But if it's something where, you're struggling a little bit, with bills, etc., it also depends on who you're asking. If it's somebody that you think is going to take advantage and hold something over you, it may not be worth going to them. It might be better to go to a friend or a neighbor. Ask your neighborhood to hold a garage sale. Say, look, we need some money for medical bills. And I don't want to ask people for money, but is there a way we could host a garage sale and try to raise money that way? Crowdfunding. I'm trying to raise money, or there's so you have to look at your options. But if it comes down to you really need to ask for help, ask for help. Tell them exactly what it's for. Now, one question people will have is, well, how do I know the money I'm giving is going to that? What I always recommend is, if you have an issue with medical bills and you think somebody is going to think you're just taking the money and pocketing it, you could say, look, I will show you the bill. And if you want to pay that bill directly, that's something I recommend. When I hear people are crowdfunding or raising money for cancer and they end up not having cancer and they lied about it, if somebody needs help, I'm like, give me the bill. I'll send the payment in from my bank. Just give me, this way I know the money is going to that medical center. And if they're like, no, just give me the cash, well, that's a red flag. But, if you say, look, this is the bill I'm trying to cover. This is, I don't, and I'm not even asking you for money, but what suggestions do you have? Can you help me talk to the hospital and negotiate the price down? The hospital won't talk to me about, maybe there's other help that family member could give you. That's even more than monetary. But sometimes being honest, showing them what the money is for, what the issue is, and also showing that you're trying to make cuts. It's not that we want you to pay so we could still go to Hawaii. We downsized, we negotiated with our landlord, for not hiking the rent, things like that. So transparency, honesty, and explaining what the situation is. It's not that you don't want money, you just don't want to lose your house. Or you don't want to not be able to pay rent to get evicted. And so explain that. Now, what happens if you are in a situation where everybody takes advantage of you? Well, you're the one with the college degree. You're the one with the job. So you have extra money. Well, the truth of the matter is many people think people are richer than they actually are. Now, yeah, J-Lo, Ben Affleck, rich. All right, they are rich. They have money. They have houses. They have, but a lot of people who end up having a job, etc., they live beyond their means. Well, they may have a nice house, but they have a mortgage to it. and they don't have a lot of equity. They may not really have a lot of money in the bank. They say many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And people are like, well, how is that? A lot of these people have jobs where they're making $80,000, $90,000 a year. Well, if their bills are $10,000 a month, they barely have anything in the bank. And so, your perception, if you have a family like that, you might want to rethink about posting your trips to Hawaii or posting or whatever, because if people think you have money, they're going to come. I can't tell you how many times people are calling in or writing saying, hi, I'm a relative of yours. My name is Paco Wax. Well, we do have, Latinos in the family. I do not have a family member named Paco. Sorry. I don't know you. I'm not going to send you money. And also, if people are asking for your financial help, it doesn't always have to be finances. As I said, there are other things you could do for them. What is the situation? Well, it's my landlord, it's my rent. Okay, well, then let me help you find a cheaper place to live. Let me help talk to your landlord about negotiating the price down. Let me, give me the medical bill. Let me talk to the hospital. Let me see what I could do in terms of, getting you a payment arrangement. There are other ways you could do to help. And I really go back to that. There's ways where you could do garage sales, yard sales, crowdfunding to help raise money for people who are struggling. Let us do some potlucks so you don't have to spend money cooking dinner. We'll bring over some meals to save you guys some money. There's a lot of options, but if they're like, no, we need $5,000, we need $10,000, and you don't have that could be a problem. So, sit down, work with them. But if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, you probably are being taken advantage of. And you wanting to help, is a good thing, and you will be providing them help. It might not be the help they need, but be there for support, be there for options, and if it's right for you, help what you can. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I believe they have arrested the shooter. There was an active shooting reported at Florida State University, the Tallahassee campus. 4 people, from what we understand, injured and hospitalized. Now we're being told the number is up to 6 people, but a person has been taken into custody. This was the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee. According to an alert, they say an active shooter had been reported in the area of the student union. Police were on scene or on the way at the time. They told people to continue to seek shelter, await further instructions, lock and stay away from all doors and windows, and be prepared to take additional protective measures. Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare said it was treating at least 6 people in connection with the incident. Fortunately, a person has been taken into custody in connection with the shooting. We do not know who the suspect is, but we are being told there were multiple injuries. You saw videos of people running from the student union. First responders, including state troopers, fire, and various police agencies, swarmed the campus. Ambulances could be seen heading to and from the university. Sirens heard. An employee who worked at the Bellamy building told a reporter that the building was on lockdown and law enforcement was evacuating people floor by floor. That same person said she heard what sounded like gunfire inside the building. One senior said they heard 7 to 8 gunshots. So we're going to hopefully get information soon on what this was, but the university has canceled all classes and events scheduled for today. And anybody who is not already on the main campus, turn around, don't come to campus. We don't know too much about the victims, but Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare is taking care of them and actively receiving the victims as they come in. Horrible. We'll keep you posted on that. Another headline that has come up has to do with Google. Google has been found, and I think this is a second time, reportedly, to hold an illegal monopoly in ad sales. Now, a federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, ruled today that the internet titan is operating an illegal monopoly on their advertising tech. And so this decision made by U.S. District Judge Leonie Brankema of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia dealt this blow, according to Washington Post, to Google after it lost another federal monopoly case last year filed by the Justice Department against its search engine. In 2023, another judge found Google broke monopoly laws and how it operated its app store, and the company is also facing antitrust pressure in the European Union. Now, what does this have to do with us? Well, I don't really, I understand that there's these tech giants and they fight for our viewership and our survey. I really like those commercials, those DuckDuckGo, where the people are in their underwear, right? Or in a towel. And they're like, excuse me. They're like, oh, I thought it was in incognito mode. Well, you should have used DuckDuckGo. I use a variety of the search engines. I don't care. I also like to kind of fact check. And I when I see bias, I want to see what the other search engines are saying. But these things are, the ad issue worries me because we use these things for free. And I get it. Nothing in life is free. So you're paying for your internet, you're paying for your router, you're paying for your computer. But you don't pay to go on Google. You don't pay to go on these sites. Let's say you have a medical question. Okay, you're getting free medical advice. It might not be the best medical advice, but you're getting something for free when you go on these search engines. Now, libraries are free too, but it's a lot harder. So for that ease and comfort in your own home, you are getting that for free. Well, how do these companies make money? Well, they make money by ads. They make money by giving our emails or our information to ads. So ads can figure out how to, right now, the tech is all about how do we get, and we talked about how Walmart allows you to do impulse buying because they think, during the summer, you're going to want a beach towel or you're going to want beach toys, and they know how to attract you to that display to buy things. Well, the internet is the same thing. If they are now dealing with people only, shopping for one particular thing, I need some toothpaste, I'm going to log on, buy toothpaste from Amazon and click out and I'm done. They want to attract you. And what is scaring me about these technologies is I could be talking to my husband about Disneyland, going, I want to go back to Disneyland, with the kids, or I'm going to, and then all of a sudden, within minutes, my internet search engine has ads for Disneyland. Or they have, so it's listening. Or it's looking at what we search. And it's studying us. And that makes me nervous, especially since a lot of us go to Google with our medical issues. Now, I'm a physician, and so I will Google the latest treatment for gonorrhea, chlamydia, just to double check, make sure the CDC hasn't changed the guidelines. But does Google now think I have gonorrhea and chlamydia because I'm searching it? Or Mpox or smallpox? And so, I don't, whether Google is monopolizing tech and other search engines can't make money. I really don't care about who makes money or not. But what I do care about is how we are being manipulated. And but on the flip side, how do these companies make money? Many of you are noticing that you can't get articles without paying. There's a firewall now, or a money wall, where you want to click on a headline, and now you have to pay to read the article, or you have to pay to subscribe to that article. And we're so used to getting stuff for free that we just unclick. We're like, well, I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to pay. Well, eventually, if we don't pay, these companies don't make money, and then these companies don't exist. But my concern is these ads, they rely on tech that provides a picture of who the consumer is. And so what I do is I like to mix it up a little bit. If I think they are trying to figure out where I'm going to travel next, I'll put in a whole bunch of other cities so that it confuses them, hopefully, so that they think I'm traveling to Billings, Montana. Let them think that. Now, so we'll keep you posted, but apparently they're going to appeal. I don't really care about, the millions and billions of dollars that go back and forth between these companies. I just care about our privacy. What I also kind of care about is this dust plume. Apparently, Saharan dust plume is now going over Western Europe. They say an African air mass outbreak is bringing exceptionally high temperatures for the time of year in Central Europe, as well as transporting high concentrations of Saharan dust across Western Europe over the weekend. This is going to not only impact air quality, but also affect their solar panels. The Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring System Regional Ensemble forecast predicted the transport across the Iberian Peninsula, France, UK, Germany, with very high concentrations of coarse particulate matter, PM10s. Now, for those of you traveling to Europe, understand that is, that could be affecting your air quality. But interestingly, what people are discussing is how we have now such a push for solar energy. But these dust plumes prevent these solar panels from getting their maximum sun. And are we starting to become more vulnerable by switching to all solar? I live in Southern Nevada. I think it's a pretty good bet that we are going to have more sunny days in the year than not. But I haven't still switched to solar yet. Because again, I want to hedge my bets. I want to, I guess diversify, because there's always different things that could happen. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. 1-877 Doc Dali.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.